Stop me if you've heard this one. The Rings of Power is a badly written show, and the best example of that is the way it treats Galadriel. Look what they did to this beautiful, ethereal embodiment, this angelic embodiment of traditional feminine power that we saw in Peter Jackson's movies and that we saw on the pages of Tolkien. They turned her into some kind of man maiden, some kind of annoying girl boss Karen who's always demanding to see the manager. This woman only has one facial expression. She has one emotion, and it's always anger. And Amazon expects us to identify with this? They expect us to think that this is female empowerment? And they're going to call us sexists for not going along with this. All we're really doing is pointing out how badly written this show is. How can they not understand that this is not what people want from this character? How can they get Galadriel so wrong and yet think that they're doing it right? This is a badly written show. You've heard that one, right? You've probably said that one. Maybe not in that exact way, maybe with not that particular inflection, but you've probably expressed the idea over the last 8 weeks that The Rings of Power is a badly written show, that the way it treats Galadriel is a trashing of Tolkien's lore, that you find her so unrelatable and so unlikable you can't believe that Amazon expects you to think she's an admirable role model, that she's a good example of female heroism? Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you that that is exactly what the show wants you to think. And that this is a feature, not a bug. And this is actually an example of good writing, or at least effective writing. Writing that achieves the reaction in the audience that it wanted to achieve. And the fact that so many people on YouTube, including a lot of the people I'm showing you right now, got this wrong should be a cautionary tale for everyone, that maybe their analysis of media just isn't worth listening to. Now, at the time of this recording, we've reached the end of Season 1 of Amazon's The Rings of Power, and something really interesting happened with Galadriel's arc. I have found the discourse around this character in particular really interesting over the last 8 weeks, because all of the people spending the past 8 weeks in a cavalcade of outrage clickbait content creation, not once in the past 8 weeks have any of them stopped to consider that maybe that annoyance they felt with Galadriel in Season 1, Episode 1, through Episode 4 or 5, maybe that frustration they felt, maybe that inability to relate to her, is exactly what they were supposed to feel. That maybe it was a feature, not a bug. Now, if you're new to my channel, you are probably unaware that I've already spoken about this once. About 3 weeks ago, shortly after the release of Episode 5, I went public with my conclusion about what this show was doing with the writing on Galadriel. It was trying to set her up, or so I predicted, for a colossal failure that would be blamed on her, and setting her up for an emotionally devastating betrayal that would force her to confront the fact that her obsession with vengeance made her so easy to manipulate that she was blinded to the evil right in front of her and walked right into its trap and gave it everything it wanted and felt good about it the whole time. And that once this was revealed to her, and once this catastrophe was blamed on her, she would be humbled and have to begin her transformation into the more ethereal, angelic, arguably more traditionally feminine version of the character that we're more familiar with in Peter Jackson's films or Tolkien's novels. And spoilers for Season 1 of Rings of Power, that is exactly what happened. So I don't really want to spend too much time saying I told you so, but I did tell you so. You see, this show wanted us to feel when this catastrophe happened, when this betrayal was revealed, when the big reveal was revealed, The Rings of Power wanted us, the audience, to feel like Galadriel had this coming. They wanted us to see her learn a lesson that was commensurate with the level of arrogance and single-mindedness and obsession that she was displaying through most of the first season. And that's what happened. So I want you to think back to your initial reactions to Galadriel in maybe episode 1 or 2, when it dawned on you that this myopic obsession with vengeance was going to be the defining character trait of Galadriel in season 1. Think back to that frustration and just consider that you were supposed to feel that way. That this wasn't an example of Amazon failing to understand its audience or failing to understand a character. That rather, it was an example of the writers of Rings of Power doing exactly what they had wanted to do and getting exactly the reaction they wanted to have to tell the narrative that they wanted to tell. And all of the outrage merchants on YouTube who seem convinced that Amazon thinks, that we think, or that we should think this portrayal of Galadriel is empowering and inspiring, that she's a heroic role model for young women and for girls, they think, Amazon thinks that we are supposed to think that, and they think that Amazon believes we are all sexists if we don't believe that. Just consider that that narrative is bullshit. That it's a narrative peddled by people who have a financial interest in making you pissed off about things that they're lying to you about. And one of the reasons they have a financial incentive is because every time you click on one of their videos, it generates ad revenue for them. It incentivizes them to lie and display their complete misunderstanding of how storytelling works, and to make you feel angry, to make you buy into their misunderstanding, their profound misunderstanding of how storytelling works. The implicit assumption at the heart of that narrative is that main characters are supposed to be likable. This is, I think, the most common objection I hear to the way Rings of Power portrayed Galadriel, that she is unlikable, and because she is unlikable, she is therefore badly written. The implicit assumption there is that if a main character is not likable, they must be badly written. Because main characters are supposed to be likable, right? Well, no, they're not. I can confidently say, as someone who has taken more than one screenwriting class and has placed highly in more than one national screenwriting contest, and who has, in fact, actually optioned a script that, of course, went nowhere, as most scripts do, I can confidently tell you that main characters do not have to be likable. They just have to be interesting, and they have to have relatable motives. And on that front, The Rings of Power succeeds with Galadriel. She's interesting because she is such a stark contrast to the portrayals we've seen of her in Peter Jackson's films and in J.R.R. Tolkien's novels, that it immediately raises the question, why is she like this? Is she going to stay like this? Will she turn into that more familiar version of Galadriel, and if so, how? And her motives are relatable. Her brother was killed by Sauron, and she vowed to avenge her brother's death. Which, not incidentally, is completely consistent with Tolkien's portrayal of her backstory and his expanded lore. She vowed, in her anger, to pursue Feanor to wherever lands he fled. Now just substitute Feanor for Sauron in that description, and you've got a pretty good foundation for the version of Galadriel we see in Season 1 of Rings of Power. So, she's interesting, or at least she raises a question we're engaged with, and she has understandable motives. That is all you need for a main character. You don't have to like the main character of a story. It helps, I'll grant you that, but you don't have to. So if you see a main character that you don't like, instead of concluding that it's bad writing, ask yourself, maybe, just maybe, am I supposed to like this person? Or am I just supposed to want to see them taken down a notch and follow them on their journey as they learn to stop being such an annoying person? That can be good writing too. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And hey, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so please consider giving me a subscription if you liked this content. It really helps the channel grow. Also, give me a thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications so that YouTube will tell you when I upload new content. And until next time, remember that what's best in life is to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and engage in discourse with the women. Thanks for watching.